Alright guys, welcome to a new show. This is Scott Conner. You guys have heard me talk about Scott Conner.
Hey.
He's from Blacksburg, and I went to his house a few weeks ago, and he's got the shit. And we're going to call this show... Yes, you do.
Okay.
We're going to call this show... Shit
Pile of the shit.
Yeah, pile of the shit. But we're going to call this show... welcome to the first episode of Shit Gets Real. So, how you doing, Scott?
I'm fine.
Yeah, okay, cool, man. Alright, so when I went down there to Scott's place down in Blacksburg and stuff, it was just like, it was wonderful, man. It was, it was hardbacks, it was Al Williamson, it was, it was Al Williamson. The guy is, are you friends with Charles Vess and Mike Kaluta, or did you just hang out with them?
I've known Charles for, 15 years, something like that. We met at a small convention in Roanoke.
Okay.
And started chatting and figured out we had a lot of different things we liked in common, like a lot of artists, things like that. He invited me to, he was having a art exhibit in Abingdon. He invited me down there and went down there, saw a couple friends of mine. Saw the art, and we talked about, some other things. So it kind of struck up a friendship, and we've been friends for quite a while.
Yeah. And he has, you're shown so nonchalant about it. That's what kind of got me.
Oh, right.
Yeah, when I got down to his house, he had all this Al Williamson stuff out, these hardbacks and stuff like that, and IDW. What else did you have? IDW artist editions of books. And
just all the giant Wallywood book, the giant Mark Schultz and his Zoic Tales book.
Yeah, and it was just great. And then all of a sudden, like, I'm looking through some stuff, and there he is, like him and Charles Vess in this apartment in New York, and there's Mike Kaluta. Yeah. You're hanging out in Mike Kaluta's place, and you said this was the...
It's not something that happens every day.
Yeah, I'm sort of like, no, wait a minute.
Yeah, it's so surreal, I can't believe it actually happened. No, this was in 2001, I think it was.
Yeah.
Went to a convention called Boscombe, which is right outside of, but at the time it was held right outside of Boston, Framingham, Massachusetts. And Mike and Charles had been roommates in New York City in the 70s.
Okay.
And Charles asked me if I would go to Mike's place. Well, Mike is one of my favorite artists, so it's like, yes, let's go.
Right, right.
Stayed overnight, it's, you've heard the term, kid in a candy store?
Yep.
That's what I was. I was the proverbial kid in a candy store.
Yeah.
It's hard to go to sleep. There was just so much visual stimulus. More books, more videos than anybody you've ever seen. It's got a collection.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember the pictures because there was stuff everywhere. He had every section of the wall had something. He had a pile of books.
He had more neat stuff per square inch than any other place I've ever been to on the planet.
Yeah, and I'm sitting there, I'm just like looking at you.
It's virtual Aladdin's cave of interesting stuff.
It really messed me up because I was really like, no, wait a minute. I know you talked to Charles Vess and these guys online, but just see a picture of him just in the background smiling while you're like, buddying up with Mike Kaluta.
I still can't believe it happened. Years ago, I was like, damn, that was me.
Oh, here we go. So, yeah. So anyway, he's come up to visit. We've just been like shooting the shit today, watching Batman cartoons. Got a little food, talked to the neighbor. Toilets are all flush, no cats are pregnant. Right?
None but me, no.
Yeah, right. Okay.
I don't know about you.
Okay, so we'll just shoot the shit. We got into this talk right before we were like trying to figure out what to do with this video, and all of a sudden we kind of got off track. The next thing I know, we found ourselves talking about teen books from the '80s. Now I wish the camera is on because it got pretty deep. It was all right. Would you agree? I mean, it was.
Yeah, it was an interesting conversation. Yeah. My thing about teen books.
Yeah.
Is individual superheroes, will be able to handle their respective villains by themselves.
Right.
You get a group of superheroes around, and all of a sudden Joker makes everybody else look like an idiot, and it's like, I don't get it. It makes no sense.
Right.
The Joker can handle Superman with no problems. But when it comes to Batman, he's lost.
Yeah. What got me is what we were talking about. It's like, when I was a kid, I'd get the teen books for, because of the money, like more heroes.
Right, more bang for the buck.
Yeah, bang for the buck and stuff. And I started, then like later on, I started getting more of the single issues, and I was always like, well, if you're a part of the Justice League and you're stuck in this big fight and you're getting your ass whooped, why don't you just call the Justice League, and they never do it,
Right.
And then when I started looking at the Justice League, I was like, Superman was always took out first. Everybody had a red solar radiation ray. Everybody had a piece of kryptonite.
Yes.
Some kind of magic or something like that. But like, why was Superman ever there? You get what I'm saying? Like, what's the point?
Yeah. Why did Green Arrow have a kryptonite arrow
Yeah, just out of the blue. I mean, if we wanted to, get into real life terms, he was a paranoid lunatic. If you want to go that way,
because you're paranoid, don't mean people are going to have to get you. So.
But what was the other thing that kind of got me in those teen books? I had something. I always sitting here talking to you, thinking about it. What always got me is that I always wanted to see somebody go back and look at those old Justice League stories from Superman's point of view, and you kind of find out that he was actually laying back so all the other heroes would feel useful. He had everything under control. He knew he could just use his super speed real
30
quick.
years later, you let me win?
Yes!
Damn you!
I was like, it was good for your esteem, man. I didn't want to make y'all feel useless. He was lonely. He wanted friends.
Realistically, Superman is just so much head and shoulders above everybody else.
Well, imagine you're wearing red underwear, and these other guys are wearing their underwear on the other side too, and all of a sudden, you don't look so silly when you have your buddies around, and everybody's eating Green Arrow's chili. So.
I don't know about that one.
Okay. I'll tell you. Well, you got anything else to add to that one?
What, teen books?
Yeah, anything with more teen
books? I've just never really been a huge fan of teen books. I don't hate them, but it's just not my cup of tea.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. I can go with that.
It just seems like you would think that people would get together and have a team, and their effectiveness would be amplified by being in a team.
Yeah.
In a lot of cases, the exact opposite. They just fall apart.
Yeah.
Does that make any sense?
Yeah, it makes perfect sense and stuff. I get what you're saying about everybody getting together. It seems like the books after the X-Men, and I want to say Teen Titans too, even though X-Men were first, it seems like it became more about character and the adventures were in the background. You follow what I'm saying?
More character-driven, less plot-driven?
Yeah, right. And then what I started seeing, going back to what you're saying, is that, some of the teams would fall apart because of the personalities, and then the sales, they would have an excuse to break up the team to bring a new one in. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it'd be like a sales gimmick.
Yeah, and that's kind of what happened. I love those old books. It sounds like I'm bashing them, but, they fell into a formula after a while. Everybody had to have an X-Men group. Everybody had a feral character. Right. You had a strong guy. You had the leader. You
had the archetypes.
Right? The archetypes. Yeah. The leader who had no powers. Right. You had your big strong guy like Colossus. And I'm just going by memory here now. So we're in that zone. So by the time, you had your team books of the 70s and then the 80s, and by Image came by, you could pick up, Wildcats, and I don't know why I'm going there, but you have your Wildcats, and then you would have your, who's that Mark Silvestre group, the Cyber Force? Oh, God. And you could look at them and, you see the X-Men in all of them.
Well, sure.
Yeah, so.
Yeah, the influences are pretty obvious.
Yeah, so.
The originals had a lot less pouches on their thighs.
Yeah, we're going there, aren't we? We're going there.
We're going to the L word. Yeah, let's not
the
go
L
there.
word.
Let's not go there.
If you know the L word, just type it in at the bottom. We're not saying it. If you speak his name, he'll appear.
Going on a tangent, it's interesting now how much Image has changed since then. It's a completely different company now.
Yeah, well, they needed to.
Right.
They needed to. Yeah. I had no problem talking about Image, man. What area? What do you see as the changes? With Image, that you're talking about.
Now versus like '90s. They're two completely different companies.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost now they court newer creators coming out, with their own, creator, new ideas.
Yeah.
Versus the same old, This is a instead of being like a team book that has the serial numbers filed off and names changed to protect the guilty.
Okay.
You're having people coming in with brand new ideas now. It's completely different. I never thought 20 years ago I would have recommended an Image book to somebody, which I can do these days.
Mm-hmm.
It's just completely different.
Yeah, there seems to be professionalism. They asked, I think Eric Larson stepped up as publisher after they all got together and asked Jim Valentino to step down. And I think that was the big change in the diversity. That's what's going on. The way I remember Image, everybody was real excited about him. He had the artist-driven books, and they were trying to be writers, and the artists were not the greatest writers.
You noticed that?
Yeah, I noticed that. I'm being very nice because I still have some of those in my collection.
Right.
And then all of a sudden, man, a second and third wave of artists came in, and they couldn't get their books out. They were even later than what they were.
Right.
And then they started making up the rules of you got to have 3 books in the can before we'll put you out. And then they started just dropping people. People seem to forget that. There were a lot of series not finished because these guys couldn't get their books out, so they just dropped them. You know. So that's the biggest change I see. They're making people have some books in the can. They have to have them. If they're going to have a break, they have to let people know when the break's going to be.
They have to have a business plan.
There you go.
Right.
Business plan. Well put. Well put. All right. Well, that
wasn't what we were talking about.
No, but yeah, but that's, I like where that went.
Weird
You know,
tangent.
we got serious. We went serious. You know, so
That's a different company.
a business plan. I'm an artist, damn it. I'm like, so, you know, what do you mean business plan?
Right.
Are you reading any image books right now? That's on your mind?
Yeah, actually, although it went on hiatus, haven't got any of the newer series yet. There's a second arc, but there's a book called The Mercenary Sea, which I like quite a bit.
Haven't read it.
It's basically, it's kind of hard to explain. It's a group of mercenaries, adventurers that in late 30s, South China Seas, kind of Indiana Jonesy feel.
Okay.
The art is very much like 2D cell animation.
Okay.
So it's like a combination of different things, like Indiana Jones, Old Pulp, Johnny Quest.
Okay.
I don't know. I have to bring it to you and let you read it, but I like that book a lot.
Yeah, I haven't heard of this one and stuff. I have not heard about this. I think the only thing I've really got of Image that I need to finish reading or start reading is that Tooth and Claw by Kurt Busiek. It's a writer.
Right.
I found the Image stuff.
Oh, and the Five Ghosts.
Five Ghosts, is that Dark Horse or is that Image?
No, it's
Image.
Yeah.
I'm glad you're here. Yeah. So
Yeah.
Five Ghosts is freaking awesome, man. That's got like that old Johnny Quest '60s adventure feel, and the Gold Key and stuff. And
I've heard good things about Manifest Destiny, but I haven't read it.
And you know, sitting here talking to you, what I'm finding interesting is all the books that are kind of getting popular are going back to a more primitive time. You know, like there's no cell phones, they're kind of going back to those eras.
So before the 90s.
Yeah, before the 90s. Sure. Yeah. Well played. Yeah, everything before the 90s, man, they're going back to a more primitive time. Things were simpler and there's more adventure and stuff. And
But you're talking about like, 30s, 40s.
yeah, like you know, just
Traditional
anything back and stuff.
What we consider to be the pulp era.
Yeah, the pulp eras and stuff. And
Right.
and you and I have talked a lot about the pulp eras and the Johnny Quest and the cartoons and stuff.
Yeah,
which some of that stuff I wish we'd put on video because it got good.
Yeah.
But yeah, like the Doc Savage pulp heroes.
Mm-hmm.
We both love Johnny Quest. That's one of the ways we started talking online.
I think that's actually, you remember we met at little conventions in Salem?
Yeah.
And I think we both were looking at the Johnny Quest action figure at the time.
That's it. Yeah.
And now I wish I had bought that thing because I still don't have it.
I remember not only did we like meet each other that time, but if I remember right, somewhere along the day we both circled around a second time and met again there.
Might have been, I don't know.
That's how I remember it because that's when I was like, yeah, I saw this cat before. Yeah. Oh man, that was good, Johnny Quest. And then you hooked me up on the YouTube, the documentary of Johnny Quest on YouTube.
Yeah.
I think I still got a playlist of that.
Yeah, I'd recommend that to anybody that likes Johnny Quest or even animation or how animation is made. Evidently it was made for people who worked on the show.
Yeah.
But they could have released that commercially. That's the quality that they put into it. It was that good.
It was, yeah. I mean, it was so good, and it's not a bunch of fluff either.
No,
I mean, it's everything in there is hardcore.
Right.
Johnny Quest, facts behind the scenes. I mean, they did their homework.
Yes.
They even talked about why it didn't make it on prime time and how people actually died in the cartoon.
Right.
One of the first things you see. And with this hobby we got, it's always amazing how things you can like outside of the hobby, you'll find out later tie into comics because Doug Wadley, as everybody knows, worked on Johnny Quest.
Yeah.
That's why it had that feel of it and everything like that. Oh man. One more thing I want to get on here.
Okay.
We were talking upstairs about, talking about the pulps and all the simpler times and all the books. There's a thread here that makes sense in my head here, but we were talking about the Flash Gordon cartoon of the 1970s.
Right.
Okay? And they actually pulled the Alex Raymond stuff into that cartoon. It was on Saturday mornings. It was actually serialized.
It was about Filmation.
But you said that tell them what you said about why you were kind of mad about the Flash Gordon.
Well, it's not so much mad. It's just a kind of. I'm really more sad about it. Evidently, at the same time that Filmation was working on getting the Flash Gordon show in production, Doug Wildey and Dave Stevens from Rocketeer fame had pitched an animated version of Doc Savage to the folks at Filmation. Well, they turned it down because they were working on Flash Gordon instead. But it makes me sad to think that you have these two creators of this caliber, that were going to do an animated Doc Savage.
Yeah.
And it never got made.
Yeah. Would you
That's bad.
I've had time.
That's a travesty.
I could tell it's been in the back of my head because, like, when I first heard, I was like, well, maybe that was a blessing in disguise. I could get.
Well, it could have been. I mean, the
now,
Flash Gordon stuff was pretty good.
And now, I love Flash Gordon. But
So,
now I'm sitting here like, that is Doc Savage. I'm like, son of a bitch.
If they had more money, they could have done both.
Yeah.
But nobody has unlimited funding.
Filmation, cheap bastards. Stop. They could have just took the Flash Gordon shit and like painted it gold, So
Or they could have been smart and said, "Why don't you two guys work on this?"
that would have worked too. Yeah. All right. I'm going to end it there, like a 15-minute segment. I think we covered some stuff. And you got anything you want to say to everybody? Nice. All right. Scott Conner, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey.
Scott Conner. Yes. The maiden. Later. We'll be back with another Shit Gets Real later.